I have found you, apprentice knight, enemy of my king.
Who the heck are you? Shadow?
I am Lancelot, Knight of the Round Table. I challenge you to a duel.
Some things never change.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing. It's just that he looks like trouble.
What shall it be? Will you abandon your sword and flee?
Sounds good to me!
Fool! A knight never flees a foe.
May I have your name, apprentice knight?
He is Knave the Hedgehog, and he accepts your challenge.
Hey, wait just a second here!
Very well then. Brace yourself, Knave the Hedgehog. Now we shall see what you can do.
Alrighty, folks, we're facing off with Lancelot, and because he's played by Shadow, this is going to be the most intense fight ever.
Far too careless.
What the hell was that? Because this is the first Knight of the Round Table that we're going to be fighting, Lancelot is something of a pushover. He doesn't really block any of his attacks very well. You can actually do a whole bunch of jumping slashes on him pretty easily, and for the first fight, there's really not much strategy involved. I fought him twice just because it literally goes in like 7 to 10 seconds if you know what you're doing. This is the best level to actually grind for stars in order to raise the proficiency of your knight styles and stuff, right? So, damn, Lancelot, that was shameful. I'm embarrassed for you. That was the most pathetic show I've ever seen in my life. Good God.
Wow. So he was one of the Knights of the Round Table?
The mightiest of all, and the closest to King Arthur. It was mere luck that enabled you to defeat him.
If you say so.
Why did you not deal him the final blow?
Huh?
Such sympathy is an insult to a knight.
What's the big deal? Besides, I got this, didn't I?
That is Arundite, one of the sacred swords of this land. Take good care of it.
No problem.
We're here.
I've been waiting for you, Knight from another world.
Whoa!
Fool, where are you going?
But that's...
You are being rude to the Lady of the Lake. Bow your head.
I think I know why you're here. It's about Excalibur, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You don't waste any time, lady.
Show some respect.
I'll tell you how to hinder the scabbard's power of immortality. I'm the one who gave it to him, so it's kind of my fault, see? But still...
Still what?
Whoever defeats King Arthur and takes his scabbard might end up turning out the same way, right?
I see.
So, I have 3 tests for you. Would you like to hear them?
Sure, fire away!
First, free the innocents from King Arthur's dungeon. Second, offer compassion to those in need. Third, defeat King Arthur's Knights of the Underworld. You have 3 days. Good luck!
I get it. She's only gonna tell the secret to a true knight.
Are you up to the task? This will not be easy.
Ha! I'm the world's fastest hedgehog. Check it out! You'll be calling me sir before you know it.
Okay, so we now have 4 missions to complete, even though the Lady of the Lake gave us 3 tasks. 2 of those missions are doing the 1 task. And all of these missions are mandatory. We have yet to meet a mission that wasn't optional. Everything we've been doing up to this point has been for the story modes, so that's kind of interesting. I love the musical throwbacks in this game. Like when we first ran into Lancelot, we were hearing Throw It All Away from Sonic Adventure 2, which was Shadow the Hedgehog's theme, so that was a good thing to hear again. And when we ran into Tails earlier, we actually heard a violin rendition of Believe in Myself from Sonic Adventure. And there's going to be a few more musical callbacks in this game, not just that, so that's always swell. The only thing I could say about the Knights of the Round Table right now until we reach another one is that they are actually some of the best boss fights in the game, and I actually wish there were a whole bunch of Knights of the Round Table fights, like more than just 4, because there are 4 total in the whole entire game. And they are honestly the highlight. These fights are so fun trying to get the 5-star ranking on. And in order to get a 5-star ranking in these fights, basically you can't get hit, right? And it's fun to do that. It's fun to test your skills and see if you can block their attacks, get used to their patterns, and try and get through without taking a scratch, essentially, right? Lancelot's the easiest by far, but when you start getting into Gawain and Percival, and another 4th one, which is a bit of a secret until you beat the story mode, so I'm not going to spoil it, it's like some of my favorite boss fights. Another thing about the swordplay, this isn't exactly like motion for motion exactly what you're doing off screen, you know? It's not like you raise the sword up and then the sword moves up or anything. It's not like you swing it vertically and then Sonic swings it vertically or anything. Again, this could easily be replaced with a button, and the game would probably be a hell of a lot more fun if it was replaced with a button. The only way to actually change what kind of moves you do, you can actually tilt the control stick in certain directions, and Sonic will do different kinds of attacks. If you don't move the control stick and you swing the Wiimote, he'll do like some horizontal slash combos, right? If you hold up on the control stick and swing the Wiimote, he'll actually do like a forward lunge, and eventually do some kind of like Shoryuken kind of move, which is always... it is a boss killer when you're in the Knights of the Round Table matches, let me tell you. You can also tilt back of the control stick to do stuff as well, and I kind of like that. You know, anyone who can actually get used to the swordplay and actually wants to learn the intricacies, you know, with all the control stick directions you can move, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the swordplay, but I personally just love that homing attack super slash, because that does wonders anyway, but anyway, part of the task of the Lady of the Lake was we had to help those that were in need. That means the innocent civilians, we have to give them money like we're Robin Hood or something, because that's what a chivalrous knight would do, yes? For some reason, and I admit this is a flaw, I don't know why, they made it a quick time event. When you come up to a person, you have to go and push the Z button on them, and then a meter will go by with a whole bunch of button commands, and if you don't push those buttons in time, if you push the wrong buttons, Sonic decides, you know what? I'm not going to give you money anymore. And there's no way to do a second attempt. Like, if you screw up the QuickTime event, or if you just don't push the buttons in time, then that's over. Like, the person looks all disappointed, and then you just, that's it. You can't give that person money anymore. Why is handing out money a QuickTime event? What, does Sonic have a change of heart? Did he just turn into an asshole? He can't get the money out of his invisible pockets now? What the fuck? I mean, I don't know why there has to be a QuickTime event at all. Just shut up and take my money. Why is there any kind of QuickTime event system in place? The other thing about giving money to townspeople, you can't just give them what you have. You have to have specifically 20 rings in the game in order to hand them money. For some reason, you can't give a beggar 10 rings. You can't give a beggar 15 rings. You can't give a beggar 19 rings. The prompt to do the QuickTime event, the prompt to give them money, just doesn't even show up unless you have 20 rings on hand. 20 rings on hand. But, you know, it's just an odd choice. Eventually, later in the game, when you've actually improved your knight styles all the way, you actually develop a skill to give townspeople money without having to do the QuickTime event. Like, you'll literally just walk up right to them, and they'll take your money, no questions asked. So eventually, after, like, levels and levels and levels of grinding and getting followers and stuff, you gain the ability to do that. But right now, you don't. So, again, it's kind of odd and weird that they had to make it a QuickTime event, and then later they just give you a skill where you could just run into them and give them money without doing a QuickTime event. But, that's definitely one thing I would have changed. Like I said, Sonic the Black Knight is not a perfect game. But I still think it's a hell of a lot better than a lot of people give it credit for, you know? When people tell me, like, the platforming sections in some of the later levels with pits are ungodly, I don't know what game they were playing, you know? When Sonic's not doing a homing attack, like, if there's no enemy in front of him, he's usually doing an air dash. And just like Sonic in the Secret Rings, you can actually cancel out of a jump instantly by pushing the jump button one more time in the sky. So if I jump, do an air dash, and then push the A button again, Sonic will immediately just torpedo right down wherever you push that button. And I find that so easy to not fall in pits that way. And especially if I'm coming up to a pit where another enemy is on the other side, that's what the Air Soul Gauge is great for. The Air Soul Gauge locks onto an enemy and goes right to him, making it so that I'm both killing the enemy I'm coming up to, as well as landing where I need to land. So I never found the platforming treacherous at all. Like, when it comes to levels like Molten Mine or the Cauldron, or, well, the Cauldron has some bullshit parts, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But I never found stuff like Dragon's Keep frustrating, or this is no way like Secret Rings. You know, Secret Rings was the kind of game where they had you sidle up to a wall while things were falling, while you had to dodge spikes that were popping out of the wall, and there was no railing and stuff, you know? You fell, that was it. You had to redo entire sections over and over and over again. And it's just kind of, it's annoying. A fun thing about the Deep Woods level that we're playing right now, throughout the grass areas, there's a whole bunch of, like, cheese lying around, right? And if you go to where the cheese is lying, if you stand in that general area, a wooden cage will drop from out of nowhere and trap Sonic. And when the cage drops on you, you have to swing the sword over and over and over again in order to bust out of it. And also, when you're in the cage, enemies from far off can see you that you're in the cage, and they will come up to you trying to kill you. So you have to do it quick before they start attacking you. And I don't think you can block in the cage. I don't remember being able to do that, even though there's really nothing preventing him from it. Because if he could swing his sword that wide in the cage, you'd think he'd be able to block as well. So just a warning, if you're playing Deep Woods, if you see cheese, don't go up to it. He's not a rat. We spent the entire last storybook game, you know, making sure that Sonic was not a rat.
Welcome.
I'm not making sure, but he kept telling Eraser Jin, "Hey, I told you, I'm not a rat!" Because Eraser Jin kept calling him a rat. Yeah. And now we're on the last of the missions in order to get Nemu, the Lady of the Lake's trust and affection. Apparently this game pronounces that name wrong. I'm not really the most learned person when it comes to King Arthur stories. I never really read up on the Arthurian legends. One of my favorite Disney movies is Sword in the Stone. I like that movie a lot. Especially that time when Merlin and the Witch Lady keep transforming into different animals in order to fight each other. That's swell. But, again, if Nemu is pronounced wrong, well, I don't know what to tell you. Blame Sega. Blame the voice actors at Sega. By the way, did anyone enjoy my vlog review of Azuri Striker Gunvolt? What are you talking about, Azure? I don't know what this Azure is. You're crazy. You're crazy. It's definitely Azuri. Yep, totally. Hey. Bear traps will damage you, so when you have a whole line of bear traps, obviously you want to air dash and jump over them. Again, air dash is your friend. Pushing the jump button again after you've pressed it once, it is your friend, and people would do well to take advantage of that kind of system, you know? Speed Break! Oh, Speed Break's great as well. You can get through a whole bunch of traps. The only thing I've seen Speed Break fail at was getting through one of, like, the Crusher segments in the Knight's Passage level. When it comes to, like, bear traps, giant fireballs, swinging, like, logs with spikes on them and stuff, Speed Break almost always gets through that. Speed Break pretty much did the exact same thing in Sonic and the Secret Rings, but in Black Knight especially, I feel that if you want to get through a treacherous section without actually having to platform, then Speed Break is your go-to ability. That thing can get through everything, getting Sonic unscathed. I guess Sonic just has the reflexes, or he moves at the speed of light, and therefore nothing really hurts him. I don't know, but anyway, we're done with the tasks. We're gonna go and find out what to do next in Part 4. See you then.